Hello, ladies. My name's Angela. Thanks for completing the hormone quiz. And based on your results, it looks as though you have a primary hormone imbalance of thyroid and cortisol imbalance. And this is a really common symptom for females beyond the ages of 35. It sometimes can even be more common if you have had a child. And one of the reasons for this is the primary reason for this combined imbalance has to do primarily with stress. And so, what happens when we're under stress? It might be emotional, it might be physical, it could be a combination of the two. Is our body starts to produce more cortisol, which is our primary stress hormone. And often, if we are under these kinds of stressful periods for long periods of time, I often call it chronic low grade stress. What will happen is our body starts to run out of that ability to continue to produce cortisol in high amounts. Our adrenals just can't keep up with this. And this is where cortisol is produced from. And over time, this starts to affect our thyroid, and our thyroid gland will not be able to produce as much thyroid stimulating hormone. So, this is why the two of these are paired up together. And what do we do about this? Because it's really common to have symptoms when you have this type of imbalance of sleepless nights. Either you can't get to sleep or you wake up in the night and you have a really difficult time getting back to sleep. I find this is really common when these two things are out of balance in the body. Often there are cycle issues. So I find it's really common for women to have shorter cycles. So instead of it being every 28 to 30 days, it's often every 21 to 25 days. And quite commonly, the cycles can become heavy and or there can be cramping and a lot of difficulty month to month. Along with this, often, especially when the thyroid is influenced, there are mood issues as well. So often there is more low mood, more trending towards depression. Sometimes there can be anxiety associated with it as well. And it's really common as well to have low libido. And so these symptoms are really hard to live with over a long period of time and have us enjoy and live our best life. So, what can we do to start to get the balance back? And so, what I have found after working with hundreds and hundreds of females that have had this imbalance, and I have had it as well, is working primarily on nutrition as one of your main starting points. So, some of the ways to do this to help with the rebalancing of these two specific areas of your body is to try and start eating foods that are very anti inflammatory. And so, some of these foods contain omega 3s because omega 3s in and of itself are very anti inflammatory. And so, this can include foods such as fish and seafood, foods such as salmon, mackerel, sardines. If you don't eat fish or you don't eat meat, you're either vegetarian that doesn't eat fish or you're vegan. Some other great options will be flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, legumes, lentils are great for this as well as foods that are high in vitamin D. Vitamin D is really helpful for our immune system and our thyroid function. And so this can also help our cortisol to rebalance. And often it's hard to get vitamin D from our foods. The primary way for us to absorb vitamin D is from the sun. So, depending on where you live and how much sunlight is available to you year round, you might have a tough time getting this primarily from your foods or from the sunlight. And from a food perspective, you actually get a lot of your vitamin D from seafood as well. So sometimes people do need to supplement with vitamin D to help bring these levels back into balance. And this can really support thyroid and cortisol rebalancing as well. Also, really important to make sure you're bringing in foods that are high in iron. So, this can be lean organic meats if you're not vegetarian or vegan. And if you are, you will find iron in higher containing amounts in dark leafy greens such as kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, as well as a lot of your natural just mixed lettuce greens. So, really important that you're bringing this in on a daily basis. And then, as well as B vitamins, absolutely essential. And B vitamins as a whole are really part of having a whole foods diet. So, if you are eating a well rounded whole foods diet, you should be getting in your B vitamins. And if not, there always is the potential to supplement short term if need be. And then on the flip side of that, so those are the foods that can help support this. Foods that really negate cortisol and thyroid balance are foods that are really inflammatory. Or they activate inflammation inside our bodies would be a better way of putting it. So those foods are some of the obvious ones would be simple sugars, candy, junk food, that kind of thing. But also things such as caffeine, having too much of it really will affect the function of both, especially cortisol. as well as the starchy or the white carbohydrates. So these types of things really spike our cortisol levels, spike our blood sugars, and they have a really negative effect on these two parts of our body, several other areas as well. So it's really important if you have hormone imbalance in general that you're really looking to move away from these foods or not eating them in high amounts, but definitely really specifically for thyroid and cortisol imbalances. And it's also important, not just with foods, but also with thyroid and cortisol imbalances, that you're exercising appropriately. So we need to make sure that we're moving our body every day for several different health reasons. But if we're looking to use exercise to help us rebalance the thyroid and rebalance cortisol, it's really important that we're not overdoing it. And so, if we are overdoing it, our body will perceive this as stress and it will actually contribute to the imbalance versus helping it. So what I find is common is women that have these imbalances sometimes also do have a symptom, which I didn't mention, which is weight loss resistance. So they notice their weight is either staying the same or it's even going up despite them trying to put changes in place to lose weight. And so some of those changes sometimes can involve over exercising, intense exercise frequently. And this often I find really backfires when you have this type of imbalance. So it's really important that you try and exercise for 20 or 30 minutes a day, light to moderate, but not intense. And it's also important that you do some things that also help with stress management from a movement perspective. So this could be yoga. This could be yoga combined with meditation. Qigong is really helpful for this. So just really being aware of that exercise is important, but the right type is really important, especially for this particular imbalance. So I hope this gives you some ideas as to what you could do to help start getting this balance back. And if you want to learn more about how you could get more specific with your body and develop an individualized plan to help you get to where you need to be faster, please let me know. You can reach out and have a free complimentary consult with me at www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca. Thanks for watching.